He's a CrossFit Olympic lifting certificate holder. And he's also tremendously involved in volleyball and has been for a very long time. So if you guys could turn your chairs if you need to, welcome Doug Decker. Oh, you took the easy way.
Absolutely. I should jump up that, but I'm not going to. I'll tell you what, I am first and foremost, I'm probably going to jump down here. I don't like being the center of attention, so, well, that's not what my wife would say. By the way, this is my lovely, strong, beautiful wife, Jana, right here. Make sure you say hello to her. She's my better half. Who here, obviously, tonight's about volleyball, which is a love of my life. I have played it since I was about 19, which has been many, many, many years. Even if you don't believe it, I promise it has been. I have played with probably all of your coaches. If you play club ball, I probably know every single one of them. I played with all of them, hung out with them. I could tell you multiple stories about that, but tonight is not about me. Tonight's about you ladies, and so the conversation will be directed to you. So who here, I imagine we have 7th through 12th grade here, is that right? We have every grade, 7th through 12th grade. Who here still gets nervous when a game's about to start? You can raise your hand. Don't be shy. Don't be nervous to raise your hand either. You ladies seriously don't get nervous? I've been doing this for 23 years and I get nervous every time I step on a court. So don't be shy. Okay, who doesn't get nervous? Who thinks, no problem, no big deal? Confidence, it's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing. All right, so I want to tell you guys a story. I want to tell you a story about once upon a time in 1995, probably before all of you were born. That's about right. All right? That's okay. It's all right. So 1995, I was a student at Oral Roberts University, and I worked with the women's volleyball team. And at the time, we had a lot of foreign players on our team, which made our team pretty stout. They were pretty good. And in 95, we happened to become what they called the Cinderella story of volleyball for that year. And so I'm going to probably put together two stories for you in one here. I want to tell you a story of a volleyball team, and then I'm going to tell you a story that I think all of you should know. Who here knows the story of Cinderella? You can raise your hands for that, right? Even the adults can raise their hand for that. Everyone knows that? It's still out there, right? All right. The story of Cinderella. So we're going to talk about the story of Cinderella. And the Cinderella story goes something like this. Once upon a time in 1995, Oral Roberts University, small little D1 school, less than 5,000 students, put together this volleyball team. And I was blessed enough to be part of that team, and when we happened to win our conference and we made it into the playoffs, right, the good old bracket play, which I understand you ladies won regionals, made it to state for the first time in 11 years, I believe it is, so congratulations on that. That is awesome. It's very awesome, so keep it up. Obviously now the younger girls have something to see, something to build off of. You know where you want to go and you know the goals, so just put that in your back pocket and work with that. So we make the NCAA playoffs, and our first game is against, I think we're probably ranked 38th, maybe 39th out of 42 teams, something like that, okay? So we're not projected to do well at all. And our first game is at Loyola Marymount in California. And so we go to Loyola Marymount, and I didn't realize what a big deal the NCAA playoffs were, just the playoffs alone. You get there, and it is banners everywhere, stickers. You have an escort to and from the courts to make sure you guys aren't doing anything illegal. I mean, there's just all kinds of things. And my role with the team personally was I was the trainer and the manager. So I made sure the women stayed healthy, taped a lot of knees, taped a lot of ankles, taped a lot of fingers, got with the other teams that were hosting the trip, the schools that were hosting, made sure everything was taken care of. And then during the game, I just got to enjoy. It was awesome, awesome time. So we were playing Loyola Marymount. And Loyola Marymount was ranked probably 12th, I think, around that, 12th or 11th. And we play the first game, we go out, we get destroyed. I'm thinking at that point it was 25-15 maybe, something like that. Not pretty. So obviously we used all our timeouts in that game, right? Take as many advantages as you can. And then second game, we get in, and I don't even remember the score. The second one, 25-18, 25-19 maybe. So we made a couple points on them. Obviously they still got to 25 first. So, obviously going into the next game, third game, we lose third game, we're out. That's it. 3 and done. So, We get into the third game, and it is 7-4 them. So we call timeout before we switch sides. We had to switch sides, excuse me. So 7-4, we call timeout. I don't remember what happened in that timeout. What I do remember is we ended up going 7-7, 9-7, 9-8, 9-9, 11-9, 15-14. End up coming back, and we end up winning that game 25-23. So this is probably a good hour and 20 minutes in now, hour and 30 minutes in. So let's go to 4, right? We're going to 4 games. Switch sides, line up, start to do it again. Sure enough, we win another one. We just kept taking points off them. 4th game down. All of a sudden, we're 2 hours into a match, 4 games, taking this number 12 team to 5 games. Get in the 5th game, that's the 15, right? We are losing that game 9-3, I believe it was. And we're like, we don't know. We went on this amazing roll, 9-3, called a timeout, flipped the script on them, figured out a couple things, ended up winning that game. 2.5 hours later, we're going ballistic. I remember the coach she throws her board up in the air, hits somebody in the stands, I think. They ran over there to apologize. But, I mean, amazing show of resiliency. All right, we had to be resilient in that game. No matter what came at us, we had to just keep going. We had to keep stepping. Just keep plugging away, keep chipping away at the score, just keep doing what we thought was right to get where we needed to be. And so we were resilient. And so when I think about that and I tie that into, I was thinking, okay, what can I tell these ladies? Because like I said, I could talk about volleyball all day. I could talk about your coaches. I could talk about leadership. I could talk about skills. I could teach you how to jump on top of this with one leg if you want. But what can I tell you ladies that I really want you to take away? Because some of you in 7th grade are moving up to 8th grade, and 8th graders moving into high school. Freshmen, you're going from a freshman team to maybe a JV team to a varsity team. Juniors and seniors, you're getting ready, obviously juniors getting ready to go to be a senior year to be the leaders on your team, and seniors, some of you are getting ready to go play volleyball in college. So I wanted to pass something on to you. So this is what I started thinking about. So resiliency. Once upon a time, there's a lady named Cinderella, right? And she had the worst job in the world. She had to clean everything. She had to mop everything. She was treated horribly by her evil stepsisters and her evil stepmother, and just no one liked her, and she had nothing. But she was resilient, and she kept doing what she had to do because she had a bigger idea, and she had to fight through everything that came upon her across her table and across her path to get where she wanted to go. And so that's obviously one of the pieces of how you get a Cinderella story. And so part 1, Cinderella story, resiliency, was at Loyola Marymount. That led us to Notre Dame. They were number 16. And obviously, again, 16, I think they were all 6 foot and above. I think their DS was like 5'10". It was ridiculous. And so super tall team, known for being very tall, having a lot of blocks, serving well. So on this one, we had to end up using a lot of people off our bench just to mix it up so they couldn't get used to what we were doing. And I don't remember that game as much. I don't know why I don't remember that game as much. I can't tell you. I just remember that we played. It went 4. I remember we won. And I remember that the whole conversation that whole time leading up to that game and during that game was to trust your teammates. Trust your teammates. Trust yourself. We've been here. We've done this. We know what positions you know your position that you're playing. You know what to do for that position. And just trust the fact that this season and this year and the skills and the practices that we did are going to lead us to where we want to go. And so that's what I take away from the Notre Dame game was the trust myself, trust the others around you, and that's going to get you where you need to be. On the other side, you have Cinderella here, who ultimately wanted to go to a ball, and she didn't know how she was going to get there. And so she had to trust all those people around her, all those animated characters that came to life that helped her get ready for this ball, right? The fairy godmother, and I think there was a mouse in there. I believe there's a little mouse, and people are sewing dresses for her and just doing everything she needs. She needs to trust that they're going to take care of her, and then trust herself that once all is in place, she's going to be able to do what she needs to do. So that led us to the Washington Huskies. And I remember this distinctly because this was we were in an interview. Our coach was in an interview with the coach from Washington Huskies, and they were asking him questions and stuff. And this was now the Sweet 16 in the tournament. And they asked the coach multiple questions about us, and I don't think he answered one question about us. He just kept talking about the next team, the team we were going to play. And so we got, needless to say, we were irritated. That's the cleanest word I can use right now to say that. We were pretty irritated, pretty upset. And the girls got fired up. The girls in the university, obviously at ORU, got fired up, and they're like, okay, we're gonna play some ball. They were very confident. It was at their school, so we were in Washington, so it's a home field advantage. And in playoffs, that's enormous, as you guys know. And so we went to Washington. They completely overlooked us. But they were also just talking all kinds of trash, just talking smack left and right. And so we had to face our fears of I think they were number 8, number 4, something like that. We had to face our fears and go up against this team who was just saying they were going to destroy us, just beat us in 3, weren't even talking about us, looking at the next team. And so I think from this game, I took away being brave. The girls from ORU, the ladies, the women that played, they were extremely brave. They faced their fears. They had to go out there and take on, again, players that were bigger, potentially better skillfully, potentially. But they were just trying to just beat us down mentally, and so we had to be brave. We had to keep our heads up and keep working through that. And so we ended up beating the Huskies in 3. I mean, we took no prisoners that game. We just came out. It was all business and just wiped the floor with them. And I remember the coach coming up afterwards and shaking the hand of our coach and saying, I did not see that coming. And my coach was polite enough to say, okay, thank you, and then she walks away and goes, you're absolutely right, you didn't see that coming. It's a good little response. But we had to be brave, and Cinderella had to be brave, which is what I want you girls to have as well. Bravery. You have to face your fears. Know that if you're in the right spot at the right time and you're doing everything you know to do, it's going to pay off. That leads me to the last one. We played Stanford. Stanford was the reigning champs. They had 2 or 3 Olympians, 2 for sure Olympians on their team that played in the Olympics. And they were number 2 that year, maybe number 1. Long Beach State and Stanford went back and forth a lot. So we had to play Stanford in the Elite 8. And this was a big deal. This was televised, again, banners everywhere, NCAA stuff all over the place. Great, great team to play. So when we get in there, I wish I could sit here and tell you we won. We didn't win. It's hard to beat the number 1 team when you're number 39. But they were an amazing team. But we played our hearts out. And I think we actually took 1 game off of them. So it went to 4, which was a great match. But we ended up obviously losing that game. But we were gracious. We were very humbled because we were on such a roll. And when you're in the Cinderella team, you think nothing can stop you. You just think you're going to run over everybody. And so we were humbled, but we were very, very thankful to be where we were. And we thought our year was done. We're like, that's it. Everything's done. In the long run, not so much, which I will explain momentarily. Last but not least, obviously, Cinderella on the other side of the story number 2. Cinderella was very gracious to be where she was, to make it to the ball, to be in front of the prince. But then at midnight, clock struck midnight, and she was humbled. She was going to go back to being a servant, if you will. And she was running out, and she was thankful but yet humbled. But she had to be gracious for the people that helped her get there. But she also had to remember where she came from. Now, the twist, the good old plot twist, is that we weren't done. Even though we lost to Stanford, what that ended up doing was opening doors for ORU for the next 4 or 5 years to come. I remember we played Stanford the next year in regular season in a little no-name Division I school in Tulsa, Oklahoma, traveling out to play Stanford, and that's when Carrie Walsh was a freshman. So I got to see Carrie Walsh play live, which was awesome and embarrassing in one because I don't think our outside hitter got 1 kill that match. I mean, it was pretty rough, as you can imagine. And so we were able to go into a lot of other places. We played Long Beach State when Misty May was there. We played Stanford again when Carrie Walsh was there. We played Iowa, which was a huge team at the time. Nebraska. We remember playing in if you've ever been to Nebraska, they have this concrete stadium where all your stairs and steps are just concrete, and it's so loud in there, it's ridiculous. You can't hear your teammates calling the ball, and they're 3 feet away from you. And so that opened the door for many, many things for ORU and for the girls that played on that 95 Elite 8 team, as well opened the door for myself. Our other coach, who was there at the time, the assistant coach of RU was Daryl Pearson. He's at Club 1 now. So it opened a lot of doors for a lot of us in a lot of different ways. Became coaches. Obviously, all of us love to coach, but then some of the players They met husbands. Some of the ladies met husbands on their trips, things like that. So a lot of different things opened up. In the long run, what ended up obviously happening for Cinderella was she lost a slipper. The prince found the slipper. The prince found her, and Cinderella got to marry a prince. And so it was an amazing outcome for her as well. And so what I want to give each of you ladies to put in your back pocket, think about and remember that whenever you're on the court, whenever you're in school, whenever you're just in life, to be resilient. Keep striving for what you know to do and just keep pushing forward even when the going gets tough. I want you to be brave. I want you to trust yourself and trust others. You've studied, you've played, you've done skill work, you've practiced. So trust yourself, trust the others on your team, trust your friends, trust your parents, trust your teachers, trust your coaches. Trust them. They're going to help you get where you want to be. And then I want you to be brave. Always face your fears. Like I said, I still get nervous. I've been playing for over 20 years. I've been playing volleyball. I've done really well in the volleyball world, regionally in sandball, but I still get nervous when I step on a court. You never know what's going to happen any given Sunday. But if you don't get nervous, you're not going to have that competitive edge. So be brave. Face your fears. If you're going up against a team that's stronger than you, I hear Coweta beat you guys 5 times, right? No, you won the 6th one. You won the 7th one. Okay. I was sorry. I heard 5 and you won the 6th. So they beat you 6 times, and yet you keep coming back. You keep coming back. You're brave. You're facing your fears, and it paid off, right? You finally got to take them down when it counted most, nonetheless. So be brave. Keep facing your fears. Keep pushing forward. And then last but not least, no matter what happens, be thankful, be gracious, be humble. When you put all of those things together, just like Cinderella, you ladies are going to have a magical life. Doesn't even matter if it's volleyball or if it's in school or whatever. It'll turn out awesome. So thank you for having me. I hope you enjoyed the volleyball stories. I can tell you a million more. If you have questions for me, let me know. Come up and talk to me. But that's what I wanted to pass on to you ladies. So thanks for having me.